In the pledge, Richard Slack, will you lead us in the pledge? Everybody ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Now, Bishop, do we have anything we need to vote on tonight?
Yes.
What do we need to
do.
vote on tonight?
We need number 9, tree removal RFP.
Yeah, because I know Mayor Rosenberg has a hard stop at 8 o'clock, and I
And-
expect that.
We probably should vote on the draft capital budget. I'm not sure if
Okay.
we're at that stage or not, but that's the other item.
All
Other
right,
than that,
so we've done the, all right, well, so let me get the minutes approved. Any comments on the minutes from the last
roll
meeting?
call.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. Can I get a
Okay.
roll call?
we'll talk Commissioner Brett,
Here.
Commissioner Salanitro,
Here.
Commissioner Rosenberg,
Here.
Commissioner Pagano is not here, and Commissioner Slack,
Here.
okay, and Commissioner Carvin.
Here. Okay, can I get a motion to bring the meeting to order? So moved. Second?
Second.
Okay. Oh, we got a nice sound for a change. This is pretty good. I use my deep voice. Can I get a motion? Any questions or comments on the minutes from the last meeting? If not, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the March 18th meeting?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Comments from the public. If the public will indulge me, can I hold off on those and go to the voting items, and we'll come back for comments to the public? Is that okay? Okay. So we're going to vote on the draft capital budget. Is that what you want to do, Bishop?
Well, yeah, if you'll remember at the last meeting,
Yep.
there was a lot of discussion about items and the size, et cetera.
Yes, I
So the question is, we put it off at the last meeting. You
Right.
did approve the operating budget, which is attached, but you did not approve the capital portion.
I do now remember. Commissioner Salanitro, you want to sort of walk us through?
Well, I know what we did last
Yeah.
meeting as far as the capital. We did
Right.
give direction to staff to immediately start with the sand for the beach and undergo the process of starting the design element for the ramp.
Yep.
I personally was remiss in trying to get some volunteer architects locally to throw their hat in the ring, but those two items, the board, we had a consensus to move those forward prior to the adoption, the official adoption of the budget. That was my recollection.
Yep.
We did split up a couple of the cost items over a 2-year period. That was the security system, which was actually, I see here, Bishop, we pushed the whole thing out as priority B.
Yes.
So I think we have the same confusion we had last time. Commissioner Carvin was asking, what is the budget being proposed? What are we looking at?
You're looking at
priority
the-
A or priority
Priority A is what we're suggesting at $131,240.
Okay. And
All right, and that's how we left it as of the last
so
meeting.
that is the proposed capital budget moving forward, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I know Rice City had some, yeah.
We had some concerns. That was part of why we postponed the budget. So we have a total of $50,000 budgeted for Rytown Park this year. It's really, I think, supposed to be for the operating expense loss that was anticipated, and we have only, I guess, a $7,000 loss budgeted at this point, of which Rye City is responsible for $3,500. You presented a balanced budget, Bishop, and we added something back into it.
You added $67.50 back, and that's why we're showing that tiny little loss.
Right,
If you
exactly.
look at the attached budget, which was approved at the last meeting, you'll see the actual City of Rye impact shown there on the second page.
Oh, so you got 51,000.
All right, 51,548 plus 3,307 of the projected operating loss. So they're at 55,000 roughly.
So, hold on, sorry. I see on page 2,
Yep.
I see them at 51,548 for the capital expense.
Go up a couple of lines and you'll see the operating subsidy.
Oh, 3,000. I think it's 30,000.
No, right.
So basically, they're in for $55,000.
If we approve all the letter A expenses, priority A expenses?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes,
Okay.
that's based on the 31,
So it's
131,
55
240.
versus your budgeted of 50?
50, yeah. Now, you were pushing me at the last meeting to see if we could come up with more money, and I said I would check and see if more money had been allotted for capital in addition to the money that was set for operating. And I have been confirmed that we have set aside no additional money for capital.
Do you guys have contingencies in your budget, or you just have
We
joking?
have contingencies in our budget, but we have a lot of contingencies this year.
Well, is there anywhere we could take money out? I mean, I think it's,
Well, we were hoping that we could get a lower cost estimate on the ramps, right? The $84,000
Right.
for those ramps seems high, and we were hoping that we could potentially come up with an estimate that looked lower than that.
all right, well, you
And
know what?
Commissioner Salanitro
Yes.
just suggested that he was remiss in doing any work on it. Bishop, did staff have any luck looking
Well,
for?
we have not yet, and we're uncomfortable reducing that number. The situation there is we're covering more than the ramp. We're also including the structure for, or the understructure, if you will, for the new booth that would be there. So I don't feel comfortable cutting that cost. I mean, I would look at it and say, perhaps the benches or something.
What about the lighting, Bishop?
Well, the lighting, if you'll remember, the lighting was cut in half in terms of from 6 poles down to 3 poles. But the problem with the lighting is that you have to do all of the underground electric supply at the front end. So you don't really save a lot of money. You basically just save per pole cost at $2,500 a piece.
Is that what it came out to? Because we didn't have a firm number. Is that the new number?
Approximate. It's approximate. That's not a firm number. That's still an estimate.
So Bishop, just for clarity, so the $64,000 then is not just the ramps, it's really then more than the ramps?
Well, it's the ramp plus we have to put in a construction pad or a base pad, if you will, for the new booth that we would put in. But it is primarily the ramps.
Okay.
Well, how much does the new booth cost?
That's the $16,000. And that's a fairly solid number. We've actually priced that out with
There you go.
manufacturers. And
But
that
do
would
you
be
have to do the new
that would
booth?
be a prefab
Do you
booth
have to
that,
do the booth at the same time?
yeah,
Why?
you do.
Well, we got to cut.
Well, the current booth is totally substandard. We're having, all kinds of issues with it, from, leaky roof to, just it's flimsy. It's old.
Well, I think.
No, I understand. I
Yeah.
think that the booth is an essential, right, because it gets to like 110 degrees in there. Yep. I still keep looking at that $84,000 number and
Yeah.
thinking it seems very high. And I understand we don't have an estimate on this, so it's hard to cut from there. But $84,000 plus the $16,000 booth,
Well, remember, we're only doing the middle ramp at $64,000.
Look,
Ah.
it's real simple to me. You got $80,000 between the booth and the ramp. And how much do we need to take it down, $10,000?
I think only $5,000.
Yeah, but four for you, right? So it's 10, you're
Right.
only taking half.
Right.
So
Right.
Bishop, you got 74,000, so 70,000 to work with rather than 80,000. I don't think we want to take out the benches, do we?
Well, we still have to authorize the expense after the...
That's what I'm saying.
So while the budget is 131, I think we could shave a little bit off of that, but ultimately, the commission has to vote on
Right.
the numbers. Yeah, refresh my memory on the lights and how it got to priority A. I mean, maybe the Friends can speak about that. I mean, not speak about it, but, let us know. The lights around the duck pond. There's a proposal before
Why-
us to
yeah,
add
why-
the
why
lights.
is it
That's
priority?
the park staff is making a strong recommendation. They're the ones that
Is
live
that
with...
from a security point of view?
Yes, they're the
Okay.
ones that live with this every day and every night.
Right.
The website of the park is completely black at night.
Right, okay.
And when we have
Could you
fireworks
speak to the mic?
and cars that come into the parking lot,
Right,
when it gets dark,
right.
we have to send our carts over there, the security carts,
Right.
with the lights on so that there's no problems.
And I'm not diminishing the value and the necessity of that, but that condition has existed since day one.
It has.
Okay, now, from a priority between the lights and the security system, the camera system, which would be an additional element that initially was in priority A, got shoved over to priority B, would it stand to be a logical thing to go with the camera system or the lights, which?
The first priority is the ramp.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm
Yeah.
saying between the two, between the lights and the security cameras. I thought there was a bigger push for the cameras.
Yeah. Security,
Right, okay. Yes.
cameras.
Just one other point.
You can come up.
Good.
The benches, I mean, as you know, I'm very much involved in trying to help the Friends of Rydtown Park get the money to put in new benches, but I would say that that is not a high priority. We have benches. It's not like we don't have them. They just need to be painted and spruced up, but we've got plenty of benches. And we have a lot of people who want to give money to benches. So,
Okay, that's helpful. Look,
so I would say that if,
All
you
right,
know,
so-
when it comes down to safety versus benches, I'd go for safety.
All right, so we're going to take take the budget, we're going to go $14,000 in priority B for benches. And Bishop, you're going to need to find $3,000 in savings out of the $80,000.
Yep.
So we'll make it $61,000.
Make it 61.
Yep.
Yep.
And then we're going to be at $121,240.
You don't want to do it with cameras? You want to switch the cameras for the lights?
Well, then we're going to,
You'll have less money that way. You're going to,
Well,
we'll save
well-
$2,500.
so okay, well then, actually, good point. So, did you say you like the cameras more than the lights?
Yeah. Security, that's another security issue.
So you think the cameras are better than the lights? We'll come up to the thing.
I've been trying to get people to sponsor the lights, and I believe I have two right now that would like to. In other words, in memorial for somebody that passed away, for one lamppost. You know what I'm saying? So we need three, minimum of three, so maybe we can go that way for another year. The cameras take precedent because, you know, we're always concerned of what's going on in the park, and especially what happened last year, where there was a mugging, you know.
Well, the presence of the alternate commissioner of Villanova made an effort.
Yeah, yeah. He
was very
wants,
strong about it, and I don't disagree
that's
with
his
that.
major priority,
Well, and it's a 24-hour surveillance.
yes.
It's a system that will definitely assist law enforcement, will hopefully deter those who are on the fence about
Yeah.
doing something malicious.
And when we get
And I think it's
kids,
something that's new, that I think is a start towards the security. That's my personal
and
opinion.
when we get vandalism, the cameras can help us identify the
But do you
vandals.
need, the question is, do you know if it's going to be night vision type
That I don't know.
security? Because if you don't have lights, then you're not going to see anything.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
there-
Well, the path is well lit.
There'll be multiple cameras out there.
right, well,
Many of them will have infrared
Okay,
capability.
so I think, again, Commissioner Salanitro with his genius,
Yeah.
and in deference to Deputy Supervisor Villanova, we're going to move the $25,000, and it, obviously Park staff was taking the lead and saying the most important thing is to get the cameras. So let's get the cameras in place. And I think that actually makes sense for a whole host of issues. So let's get the cameras in place. 25 will push the lights back a year. Sorry
Yep.
about that. So they'll be priority B. And basically we have $9,500. So you got to take $500. You got $79,500, Bishop, for the ramp and the booth.
Okay.
All right?
I think that's a wise decision.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's right. Does that work for everybody?
That works, yep,
Beautiful.
thank you.
Mr. Slack? Okay, great. So do we need to vote on anything? Well, we're going to vote, so can I get a motion to,
Can we just have could somebody just add those numbers up?
Yeah, I'm going to try and do that right now.
oh, it is, it's 10,000.
The change is the difference of 10, so it's 121, 240?
Yeah.
Okay. Priority A, 121, 240.
All right, so we have 25,000 for the security.
camera. If the original calculation is correct, this one's correct.
We have 16,740 for the sand. That's a hard number, by the way. I already have purchase orders out for it.
You got 63.5 for the ramp.
And 63.5 for the ramp. $16,000 for the booth, and
That's it.
that's it. And the winner is 106,840.
No.
No? Did we?
I think you should,
There's 1, 2, 3, there's only 4 items in this capital budget right now.
so the park benches go back in.
No, hold on, I think you couldn't
No?
couldn't
Sorry,
possibly add it
no,
up
sorry.
correctly if it was originally
Sorry.
calculated correctly.
All right,
Where's my,
63.5,
oh, here we go.
16000,
See,
Oh, whatever.
16740,
Right.
and 25.
Where is that? Out of that, right.
121,240.
There you go.
I got it.
Okay,
Right.
I'll make a motion that as the capital budget is presented as priority A modified here tonight, of totaling $121,240, that the monies be appropriated and that the board, that the commission have the ability to review those bids at a later date.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, call the roll, Bishop?
Okay. Sorry, hang on a second. All right, Commissioner Brett?
Yes.
Commissioner Salanitro?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Slack?
Yes.
And Commissioner Carvin?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That actually was good. And we have one other, the tree removal.
All right, yeah, if you dig into your packet a little bit, you will see the report on bids received for tree removal. Perhaps Bill Lawyer should be the one to present it, because he did all the work.
Mr. Lawyer?
Okay, let's see. If you look through this section, there is a map that looks like this.
Last page of that packet.
The Friends of Rye-Town Park hired the Bartlett tree experts late last summer to do a comprehensive inventory of all the trees in Rye-Town Park. And they categorized them by many different factors, but the one that's the most obvious from a safety and management point of view is the trees that might be a risk. So they prepared, this map number 9 shows that they determined that there were 33 trees that are recommended for removal. And they divided them into 3 categories: priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3, meaning that priority 1 is the most in need of being removed, the sooner the better. So on that basis, I did a walkthrough with Fraser Paymiller, who's with Bartlett, and we looked at all the trees. And so we basically took the priority number 1 trees, divided them into 2 groups, the 8 top ones and then the 6 next ones after that. And so we have a mail list, an email list of many different tree companies. It was 9, I think we have altogether, that we sent out requests for proposals to. And you have in your packet there the results of that, the 5 who responded. This is...
Six responses.
6. Oh, well, 5, yeah, the 1 came in late, but there's 6 altogether. My report was made up before the 6th one arrived. So anyway, there's a chart that shows the company and what they bid for Group A and Group B and the totals. So as you can see, Central, which is located in the city of Rye, actually, came in with the low bid for the total for the 2 groups. And it's significantly, it's mind-boggling how much of difference there is between the high bid and the low bid. But in any case, that's what it was. It's like when it comes to trees, we've been through a number of storm events where trees that you might expect to fall over don't fall over, and other trees that you think shouldn't fall over do fall over. So it's not exactly, an exact science. I mean, it's just these people have experience and familiarity with different factors which makes a tree a risk or not. And Bartlett has many different details. For example, are there funguses growing on the tree? Are there bad bruises or, where maybe some other tree did damage to it? So this is their best guess. And, obviously, there's a fair amount of money involved. So Bishop thought it would be worthwhile to break it down into 2 groups, and he can explain how this would affect the budget, maybe more than I could, but this would be done as part of the maintenance budget.
Even though all these trees were identified as priority 1 by Bartlett, in the detailed analysis, the first grouping of trees, I think it's 8,
Yes.
were immediate dangers or identified as immediate dangers. And our feeling was that if we did anything, we have to deal with those 8 trees. The others we can do at a later date or a later time. Now, you should understand, in the regular budget, we do have that $106,000 line item called maintenance. We do have an allowance in there for trees. All right, it is $10,000 or less, quite frankly. We don't plan on this large an item of tree work, so that was another rationale to break this up into 2 groups.
Good, okay, and so
So
the
I do-
recommendation is to, any questions?
I do
Sorry.
have some questions,
Go ahead.
yeah. So Bill, I know you're an environmentalist, so I trust this, but some of the trees that you're suggesting be taken down are high-value trees, right? There's some trees that have more greater value to the environment than others, and I just want to make sure that we have a strong sense that the trees that we're taking down are trees that absolutely need to be taken down. When I see a pin oak and the European beech, those trees generally are pretty high value for the community, and I just have some concerns that those are the trees that we're taking down. I don't worry. I mean, we certainly don't worry when we take down Norway maples, but
Well, I mean, yes, I'm an environmentalist. As you know, I'm very much in favor of promoting the planting of trees, and we actually, a group of environmentalists in Rye, tried to enact a local ordinance which would require permits before people remove trees. So, yes, very strongly in favor of trees. They're so important, and certainly trees are beloved by park goers because they provide great shade. And over the years, the park has planted trees with the idea of creating these different grove areas where, there's clumps of trees where you can get the nice shade or sit under a tree and read a book or whatever. And then there's big open spaces, which other people like the big open spaces too, and they provide the opportunity to have many different events. So basically, I've gone along with the recommendations of Bartlett. I mean, I looked at all the trees, some of which, you might think, oh, well, until you actually go out and see whether it's producing leaves or not, you're not really sure how dead it is. I mean, and not all these are dead, but the European beech, for example, I have very fond memories of when my kids were little back in the 70s. We used to go over there and sit under there used to be 3 huge beech trees. 2 of them have died over the last 10 years. The other one is now dead, totally dead. So, yes, if it were alive, it would be a very valuable tree, for many people who use the park. It's one of those trees that people carve. Bill loves sharing initials and, names and things like that. So it's got a lot of sentimental value to many people, but it's dead. So what are you going to do? So I think that, this is, we really pushed him to say, look, do you really think this is the recommendation? And they've said yes. And, as I said, it could happen that some storm will come along and one of the trees that we say is dead won't blow over and another one will. I mean, I've been involved with, nature and trees for many years, and it's, you can never, there's not too much of a sure thing, but we're just trying to do the best we can. And I think the issue is we're doing what you'd say is due diligence. We're not trying to cover things up, and I think that was the Friends when they hired them to do this. This was one of the concerns, was to identify which trees really, are on their way out, and among those, which are the highest priority. And my feeling is that we should also be planting new trees, which is, I know the Friends are planning to do some education and research in terms of planting trees, in keeping with the long-range plans for the park. So that's the best I can say, really.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Bill, can I ask a question? Sorry, I know you just sat down. When you did the bids, did any of the companies that bid, did any of them sort of confirm this list at all, or did they just give us numbers?
Yeah, I have to say, nobody really responded in terms of, why do you want to cut down this particular tree? I mean, they basically, we gave them the list, and they responded, or some of them didn't respond. I mean, we got 6 out of the 9, companies we sent to. As I say, the Bartlett tree experts, they also bid on the job. We're not going to give them the job. At least we don't recommend giving them the job. They, for whatever reason, their rates are much higher. But this was totally separate from that. I mean, and so I've looked at the trees. There are reasons why every one of them are on the list, and we could walk around and look. But I think at this point, I would recommend, doing as much as you can. If you feel you can only do part of it, then do part A, and then maybe as we get closer to the fall, there might be more money that could be used, depending on how things go.
So my experience with these tree companies is that, they all have obviously a fair amount of experience in looking at the trees, and I'm wondering, even if we were to approve it, is there a way of almost as a once we get them in and they're working for us, ask them what their view is to make sure that they agree that this is a priority list to take down.
I could talk to them
before so we could approve it, sort of subject to that.
Yeah, well, I actually went around with one of them, John Zicka, who has a contract with the town to do various types of park maintenance, and he and I looked at him, and basically he saw why I was pointing out the issues that I had been told, because in addition to what you see on the map, there's an extensive chart which for each tree breaks down what exactly are the problems. So it's all in writing. It's not like, oh, that looks dead. I mean, there are various. For example, there's one where you have a trunk that goes up about 6 feet, and then it splits off into a V. The one side has been losing branches, and it's like uneven, and you think, well, maybe we could save that other half, but it's not balanced. And then when you look in the crotch, there's a whole bunch of decay and fungus is growing on it. So I mean, there's that kind of information for every tree. So in fact, if you're interested, we could get you that information, because that's part of what we got from Bartlett.
Linda, please. Linda.
Hi, Linda Wells, Friends of Right Town Park. Not to belabor this topic, but when we had the inventory completed, we offered to share that with the commission, and we were told basically that we don't want to know. So if you'd like to see the 200-plus page report, we have a copy that we're glad to share with you so that you can look at it yourselves and see exactly what transpired in the inventory process. I can tell you that the gentleman from Bartlett, who has been working with the park staff and our group for, 6 years now, maybe longer, is himself an historian in terms of being an arborist, and he's very interested in preserving the historic nature of that park. And much like a dentist who will try to save a tooth rather than extract it, that's what he has tried to do with the park. But as Bill said, conditions change overnight. Specimen trees that have been solid, all of a sudden, with the salt from the storm 2 years ago, is compromised. So it can, even though 200 trees are still okay, that could change tomorrow. But I think in terms of liability, you really have to pay attention to his professional recommendation. And it isn't just him as an individual, it's the arborists who did the inventory. So there are 3 people within their technical arm that are saying these trees are really in jeopardy, and from a public safety standpoint, you really need to take a hard look at it. Now, in terms of replacement, it may be a tree that has sentimental value, but maybe isn't conducive to long-term life, along the shoreline. And so maybe we do need to replace a tree, maybe not in like kind or in that particular spot, But looking long-term, we can come up with a game plan for what we want to do as trees are removed. Because they also have a lifespan like people, so we'd all like to hold on to the oak trees, but if they don't go, that's a big tree to leave in jeopardy, for kids playing and all sorts of reasons. So that's all I can add to the subject.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well,
was
that's
helpful.
that's helpful. Look, and I wasn't suggesting that I want to look at that sheet. I think the mayor of Rye might want to look at that if you want to send that to him. But I was suggesting that, and it sounds like there's a lot of work done, and I appreciate that. I'm just saying we may get a free second opinion almost, when somebody comes in to take it down. We may as well ask them, that's all.
The other thing is Bartlett has nothing to gain by making these recommendations because Fraser said repeatedly, we're not in the tree removal business. So he's very happy to have somebody who's trained properly and has the right equipment to come in and do the excavation so that it's done well and it doesn't, not to the detriment of the park. So it isn't like he's looking to take 8 trees out and get a little money that way, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, so are we?
We were
happy
learning
to-
about I think my question
We
is
happy to vote for both Group A and B in the full $14,175?
Sure. Bishop was explaining where the money for this was coming from.
Right, that was in your maintenance item, if you go to page 2, in the budget document. Just get my copy. You'll see the 106,750 line item, the building and grounds maintenance. That includes an allowance for tree work. Now, as I mentioned, it's roughly $10,000. We try to round it out. So, if you're going to vote for both, you're already putting us in a pseudo-deficit position. I think Bill's suggestion was a very good one, and that is, that's what we'd like to recommend, is we'd like to go with A because we're going to get rid of the most immediate danger in the park, and then we can revisit B later on in the season as we see how revenue and expenses are flowing. You have a second bite at the apple, and you can go after it at that time.
The next question.
Please.
Bishop, do you have any idea what we may have spent in tree-related work out of last year's budget as a frame of reference?
I would say last year we didn't do very much. I know there were 2 or 3 trees we took out, but they were relatively small. Off the top of my head, I would say about 5,000 or 6,000.
No, we did 2 phases last year.
We got to go back to Hurricane Sandy. In
was-
the fall of 2012, a huge number of trees came down,
correct.
and they hired, I think it was John Zicker, or somebody to come in on an emergency basis and remove these trees which had fallen down all over the place.
Well, that was about $19,000.
Yeah, so that was one of the reasons we didn't have to spend so much the next year, because a lot of the trees that were at risk were gone by that time. So
Bill, while you're up there,
And that money, by the way, was reimbursed by FEMA. So,
there was 0 expense in the
right, net, there was nothing.
In the 12 budget, but I don't know about the 13. I thought we did some work with the Friends last year.
well, there was one big tree. As I said, we had the third and final European beech is the one that's on our list, the A list now. Last year, there was the other one that was taken down. That was a very big beech tree that was totally dead. And there was something, whether it was the salt or whatever, and by the way, the Friends did hire Bartlett's to come and treat all the areas where the trees were hurt by the salt. They have a special kind of formula it's kind of a combination of nutrients and blockers that stop the salt from blocking up the ability of the tree to bring in the nutrients.
I don't want to cut you off. I'm just trying to make some time for Mayor Rosenberg, so this action moving. But I had a couple of questions. If the contract was let and we awarded it, what would the timing be? Would he come in right away?
Yeah, we'd like to have it done before the bulk of the people start coming to the park every day.
And he's been asked to give us insurances and all that kind of stuff?
The only thing, the question we would have to ask is that he his bid is for either A, B, or both, but
Right.
if we decided to move B till
Right.
till
That was my-
September, October, whether that would, change the nature of the agreement, I don't really know.
We need to
Well,
see if you'll hold that price.
the bid price is only good for 30 days as
Okay.
of now, but I would venture a guess that, he would hold that price and give us that same price for the exact same job.
We work with Central Tree all the time.
Yeah.
And they're very good.
Yes.
No, they're good. No, I don't question that. I just wonder if they would hold the price.
Well, we'd ask
Or-
him, you can't assume he's going to, but we'd ask
Can they
him.
hold it for like 120 days?
So,
Ask if we can hold the price for 120.
but you're thinking of doing Part A. That would
Well-
just be the part for B, that he would hold the
I
price.
think you
Yes.
let the commission understand that maybe that's what we can do. But the question I have is, understanding Group A and Group B, is the priority based upon the highest level of potential risk?
These
Is it public?
were priority one, based on many different things, but not
Okay.
just the health of the tree, but also where that tree is located in terms of how many people might be hurt by it if it
Right,
comes
that's what
down.
I'm saying. So
That's all part of the
So the
picture,
Group A trees were selected as a higher priority than the Group B trees?
Yes.
for all those
Public-
reasons. Yeah.
Public
The Group A
protection.
trees were cited as immediate, needing immediate removal because they presented immediate danger.
That's it.
Based upon what you're saying, I think.
Not to say that the B, they're still priority.
No, I understand.
They're still part of
We have
the
a Group
one
C,
priority.
D, E, and F. How many groups do we have?
Now, well, just remember, there were 33 trees that were
Right.
recommended for
This is
removal.
14.
Out of the 33,
This is only 14.
this is the priority one. We divided priority one into two
Right.
halves, A and B.
Right.
So I know it's complicated, but.
No, it's not. I got you. That's
So
good.
that's what it is.
Okay.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, we're looking to do, well, actually, where did we end up with all that?
Well, I
We're
think
gonna-
based upon the budget allowance or the budget
We're gonna agree.
consideration for the initial start, maybe Group A first and then look at the Group B in the fall? Is that something that the commission would be,
I'm fine with
want to
that.
look at that?
Right, and I think what we agreed would, we'll ask, Bishop and Bill,
Price for
if we could
120.
ask them to hold the price
Right.
for 120 days. So just to be clear, we're going to approve the expenditure of $9,125 for central trees, and we'll ask them to hold the price on the Group B. Can I get a motion to approve? So second?
Okay.
Bishop, call the roll.
Rosenberg? Who was the second? I'm sorry?
Do we get a second?
I'll second.
didn't hear one.
That's fine,
Second.
I'll
I was
second,
ready.
that's fine.
Laura, Commissioner
Okay.
Brett?
Right?
Excellent.
Okay, terrific. Commissioner Brett?
Yes.
Commissioner Salanitro?
Yes.
Commissioner Rosenberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Slack?
Yes.
And Commissioner Carvin.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Those are the votes. I appreciate your patience. Mr. Fish, would you come up and give us a quick update, and then we'll get to the comments from the public.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks so much.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good evening. It's a non-voting item. Bishop asked me to come and just give you an update on the RFP process that we've talked about in the past for the park. So what you have is just a review of, what you've got a few things, the timetable, the people who attended both of the pre-bid meetings. But just to refresh your memory, we had sent out pretty widely an RFP for possible development, private management of the park, and we also disseminated that through the ULI, the Urban Land Institute list, and got a very good article, which I've attached for you, in the Westchester Business Journal. So it got pretty good dissemination. Then we had planned, if you look at the timeline, which is the big sheet, we had originally planned just one pre-bid site visit, but there was one particular developer who wanted us to have a second one, which we did. We talked to the committee about it, and so we had two pre-bid meetings, and you can see them there. Basically, it was the 14th of March, and then again on the 28th of March. And then the bids, all of the bids are due actually tomorrow. And our experience with RFPs is you usually get the bids in 3, 4, 5 o'clock the day the day that they're actually due. So I don't have, it's just the timing of this meeting. I don't have the information. I won't have it till tomorrow night. But when we get that, we will give it to Bishop right away. But you will see attached also is who attended these meetings. So you can see who attended on the 14th. There were 3 groups, and who attended on the 28th. A couple of these are architects. They represent. One of them represented 2 developers. So I'm waiting to see. We just have to wait to see who bids tomorrow. The bids are due tomorrow at the close of business. So that's the update on it. I attached for you one final article, and that is several people had just mentioned to us in the pre-bid meeting that, was this involved in any way with the back and forth on Playland, to which we said no. This is not. It's a separate entity. It's not involved in the Playland issue at all. So that's sort of where we are. I wish I could give you more, but I've got to wait until tomorrow.
Well, it's very kind of you. Thanks so much, Mr. Fish. Okay. Any questions for Mr. Fish?
Great.
No, thank you so much. Thanks for coming and spending time. I'm sorry we got off to a late start. And we'll keep our fingers crossed for tomorrow. You'll be getting in touch with Bishop once. Yep.
Bishop, either at the end of the day, Bishop, or Monday morning.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We should get a clarification on your timeline. The last item, you say review of bids with commission on 5/14.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. That date has probably changed.
Our next meeting that month is on 5/19.
Okay.
Okay.
So 5/19, I'll make that
Right.
correction.
Thank you very well. No, plus, I guess I'd look if you'll send a message to Mr. Nowotnik, and we'll, good. We'll circulate that information to the board. Thank you so much. Thank you for your hard work on this. I appreciate it.
We look forward to hearing from you tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. If you get a chance, even over the weekend, we'll be anxiously watching.
What's that?
I'll give you a report.
I'm usually there till about 6 o'clock.
I'll give you a report.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, I apologize to the public. Any comments from the public? Please.
My name is Sandra Guido, and I'm from Rye, and I'm here to talk about the unleashed dogs.
Hold on one second. Just let me get the...
No, for midgets.
That's better.
The unleashed dogs at Rye Park. Laura and I discussed it before, and I didn't know if it was necessary, but I think you know about my husband at the fall, the emails that went back and forth.
Which, can you remind me?
About 2 weeks ago, my husband, the dogs were running around, and he lost his balance and fell. Never mind if you don't know. Just
Well, I think
check.
it's good for the public at home. I think there's an email in the packet here.
There is.
Yes, I
Is
gave
that
you-
from us?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring it to the attention.
But also, I think it's important for the people at home, if you don't mind, could you just
Oh,
describe
I-
what happened?
Well, he runs at the park. And the dogs sometimes run around, which he curses and they run away and whatever. But this time, he lost his balance when they came, went down on his knee, bleeding, but not serious that he had to go to the hospital or anything. So I said that enough is enough of this. This goes way back to all my time in Rye, to Mayor Otis with the dogs and all that. I understand it goes back to the Rye City Council. You've accepted that fact. The police have told me that they don't make the police enforce the leash law in Rye. Okay?
Sorry, what were you told?
I was told that the Rye City Council does not enforce the police to enforce the leash law in Rye.
Is that correct?
Well, that's not my understanding, and I will say that I did, as soon as I got your email, I sent an email directly to the city manager to make sure that our acting police commissioner was enforcing the leash law at Rye Town Park, and that there was, given the fact that the park
Okay.
was increased usage at the park because of the better weather and the fact that security was not in place, I wanted there to be a greater police presence in Rytown Park,
See,
at least until we had security in
The
place.
security now, the park people are great, okay? From now to September, there's not too many problems, just a couple of stray dogs. But from September to February,